It's Friday, March the 14th, 2014. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, and this is episode number 25 of T.E.N, Transport Evolved News, for the week beginning March 10th, 2014. Last week, we told you about plans by ChargeMaster, a UK-based EV charging infrastructure company, to introduce a complex and confusing series of tariffs to anyone who wishes to charge using its polar network of slow, medium, and rapid charging stations come April 1st. As we think you'll remember, neither Mark nor I were particularly impressed with some of the proposed charges, and in fact you'll see a fair few of our Thought of the Day videos from last week focus on this particular topic. But this week, we heard from a gentleman in the UK whose current Polar Network account logged him as having made a 44-year charging session in his Nissan Leaf. 44 years! Starting in 1970, 42 years before the Polar Network even existed, Mr. David Davis was told by the computer that he'd logged a massive 2.48 million kilowatt hours of electricity, something it proclaimed would have saved him £1.6 million in fuel costs. Suffice to say, neither Mr. Davis or his car had actually charged for that long, and we're assuming it was a hardware or software fault translating to this rather bizarre ghost in the machine, with many of its officials and even the governor's office under investigation for corruption and malpractice. The state of New Jersey hasn't really left the political news headlines since the start of this year. From the George Washington Memorial Bridge scandal to the investigation into the blackmailing of the mayor of Hoboken, much of New Jersey's political reputation is on the line, and this week its integrity of its Motor Vehicle Commission was under scrutiny as it passed a new regulation at the last minute banning Tesla Motors from selling directly to customers in the Garden State. Although the NJMVC did try to keep its agenda a secret until the last minute, news of the planned vote reached Tesla on Monday night, and it mobilised its owners and supporters around it for the Tuesday meeting. Sadly, the motion was passed before any public comment was heard, making New Jersey the third state in the US where buying a Model S isn't going to be easy come April 1st. If you're interested in a blow-by-blow account of the day, be sure to visit our live blog coverage of the event at www.transportevolved.com. In related news, it appears that General Motors has been laying down its age-old struggle with the auto dealer associations and siding with them in an attempt to encourage legislators in Ohio to ban Tesla from selling direct to customers there too. As Bloomberg reported earlier this week, GM, who makes the Chevy Volt and Cadillac ELR range extended EVs, submitted official written testimony to the Ohio State Senate Committee responsible for considering legislation that would require all new cars to be sold to customers through a third-party independent dealership. In its submission, GM argued that Tesla was an automobile manufacturer that competed directly with the Detroit giant. As a result, it argued, Tesla should compete on the same terms as GM and sell through franchise dealers rather than direct to customers. It's left us feeling a little more than uncomfortable. What about you? Last week at the Geneva Motor Show, Nissan showed off the production version of its highly anticipated e-NV200 electric van for the very first time. While official pricing still hasn't been released for the US or the UK, we did get a hint this week that suggests that Nissan's so-called game-changing cargo and minivan models will prove tough competition for other automakers in the market. According to several German-language sites, the all-electric e-NV200 and e-NV200 Avalia will go on sale this year for just over €29,819. That's almost the same price as the all-electric Nissan Leaf, on which the e-NV200 relies for its motor, battery pack, and charging circuits, with an expected real-world range somewhere around 80 miles per charge, CHAdeMO quick charge capability, and an optional 6.6 kilowatt onboard charger. We think the e-NV200 commercial vehicle will literally fly off dealer lots if it's priced similarly across the globe. In related news, Taxi Electric, an Amsterdam-based taxi firm, has been announced as the world's first privately run taxi company to use Nissan's e-NV200 Avalia taxis to shuttle customers around the environmentally conscious city. Already operating a fleet of 25 Nissan Leaf cars in and around Amsterdam, Taxi Electric will take ownership of the minivans just as soon as production starts later this year. German automaker Audi has a woefully complicated history with electric cars, caused in part by members of its board who don't seem all that convinced that electric cars will succeed, and as a consequence we've seen cars like its all-electric R8 e-tron pushed and pulled from production plans like an indecisive teenager deciding what clothes to wear on a date. But this week, Audi finally confirmed that the R8 e-tron is due to enter production this year, or rather, it will be available as a special audio variant of the R8 for those die-hard fans who really want it. Previously designed by Audi as a concept car and then built in limited numbers as part of an engineering prototype test fleet, the R8 e-tron combines good looks with two powerful 140 kilowatt electric motors and a 48.6 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery pack. Audi decided last summer that it would never bring the R8 e-tron to production. But at the start of this year, Audi said maybe it would bring the car back after improvements in battery design meant the R8 e-tron had a massively increased range and massively reduced production cost. Like so many other luxury sports cars then, the R8 e-tron will be available to order, meaning anyone who wants one and can afford its likely high figure yet undisclosed sticker price will find themselves with a long wait between placing an order and enjoying zero emissions German fun. We're often told by automakers and EV skeptics that charging infrastructure is the biggest hurdle to EV adoption. But in the UK, a pilot project offering subsidised Nissan Leaf leases has been inundated with applicants, so much so that the project has more applicants than available cars. My Electric Avenue is a massive £9 million, $14.9 million study being administered by private company EA Technology in collaboration with the Scottish and Southern utility. Its goal to create an artificially high pocket of all-electric neighbourhoods or streets by offering residents a great lease deal on an all-electric Leaf, and then study what the impact of all those electric cars is on the electrical grid. The lease prices varied according to expected mileage, car specification and number of local participants, but they were substantially cheaper than those offered through regular channels such as a dealer or leasing company. We'll find out more about the findings of the study in 18 months after the trial is ended, but we think there is one thing that the trial has already proven. EV adoption is dependent on cost more than anything else. This week, Volkswagen unveiled the UK pricing of the much anticipated e-Golf, along with opening its order books for UK orders. The e-Golf is priced at £25,845 after the £5,000 UK government plug-in grant has been taken off. The e-Golf can be ordered from one of 24 Volkswagen EV specialist retailers across the UK, with the first deliveries expected by the end of June. The car comes with a 26.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack that powers an 85 kilowatt electric motor. That gives a 0 to 62 mph time of about 10.4 seconds, almost a whole second faster than the 1.6 litre turbo diesel variant of the car. Like the Nissan Leaf when it was first launched, the e-Golf only has one option for the potential buyer. That's whether to upgrade the onboard heating system to use a heat pump for an additional £825. The heat pump will allow drivers to conserve range in winter as it requires far less energy to generate heat than the standard heater. Volkswagen says that a 20% increase in range in winter is possible between the heat pump and the non-heat pump version. Staying with Volkswagen, the German automaker announced this week that it has boffins bench testing a new battery chemistry capable of producing 3 to 4 times the power of current battery packs in a smaller physical size. Talking with the Telegraph at the Geneva Motor Show last week, it appears Volkswagen has been working on a new type of lithium air battery technology that has the potential to revolutionise the EV world. For reference, 4 times the power in the same physical space would mean a car like the Leaf would travel more than 280 miles per charge. A car with a battery pack the size of the one found in the Tesla Model S could theoretically be capable of more than 1,000. Of course, Volkswagen is pretty tight-lipped about the specifics of this technology, but we've got to admit it's pretty exciting. Have you ever wondered about what happens if you hit a wombat in your electric car? Or perhaps you've pondered the practicality of plugging in your electric chainsaw into your car's 12-volt accessory output? We haven't either, but a duo from California, one of whom works as a Tesla salesperson, have just come up with a fun colouring book which answers these and many more bizarre questions about electric cars. Called An Unpretentious Guide and Colouring Book to Electric Vehicles, the book is currently being kickstarted to raise enough funds to make it a reality. For just $15, you can even get your very own copy for the book, and you won't have to worry about hitting a wombat. Do you remember being 7? I do. Do you remember playing pretend with cardboard boxes? How about sneaking into your parents' garage and playing pretend with a £100,000 sports sedan? No. Yet that's exactly what happens in Tesla Modern Spaceship, a new fan-made ad for Tesla Motors and its luxury high-performance electric sedan. In it, our intrepid space explorer dons his homemade spacesuit, fires his rocket and seems content enough exploring the alien world he finds himself in, until that is, he discovers a new spaceship docked at the garage. We think you can probably see where this is going, but we love this fun fan-made film from the team at Everdream Pictures. We like. That's it for this week. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode of T.E.N. And in the meantime, visit www.transportevolve.com for all the EV news that's fit to print. Subscribe to our channel and other shows on YouTube, and join us live later on today when we're discussing these stories and others on Transport Evolved. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, and until next time, stay juiced up. This week, Volkswagen UK opened the order books for its highly anticipated e-book. It's funny. Oh, that's funny.